I overheard my girlfriend talking to her friend about my performance in bed, comparing me to her ex-boyfriend. Until that moment, I had been considering proposing to her. But now, I can't see how our relationship can survive. She's 26 and I'm 28. We've been together for 3 years, and what I heard that night shattered me. She was on a group FaceTime with her friends, completely drunk, sitting at her desk just 5 feet away from our bed. She assumed I was asleep, but even if I had been, she was speaking loud enough for me to hear every word. Earlier that night, we had been intimate, and I truly believed I had satisfied her. Afterward, I drifted off to sleep, only to wake up 3 hours later to the sound of her laughing with her friends. She sounded heavily intoxicated, so I tried to ignore it and go back to sleep until I caught part of their conversation. They were talking about sex. She told them that intimacy with me was okay, and admitted that she sometimes faked it just to let me finish. Hearing that was already painful, but then the conversation shifted to their best sexual experiences. That's when she started reminiscing about her ex. She told them he gave her the most intense orgasm she had ever experienced, to the point where she lost control of her legs. She described how he was significantly larger than me, apparently 3 inches longer, and that he reached places I never could. She admitted she missed those kinds of orgasms and then, as if that wasn't enough, said that he had been the best she'd ever had. I lay there, motionless, on the verge of tears, trying not to make a sound so she wouldn't realize I was awake. Eventually, the call ended, and she climbed back into bed. She checked to see if I was awake and asked, "Are you up?" I forced myself to respond as normally as possible, telling her that I had felt the bed move, which had woken me up. She simply said, "I love you. See you in the morning," as if nothing had happened. It was around 2 a.m., and I stayed awake the entire night, unable to sleep, unable to think about anything else. It's been 3 days since then, and I still haven't been able to eat properly or rest. The words keep playing over and over in my head. I've spent years trying to be better for her in bed, believing I was improving, yet I still can't compare to her ex. I have never felt more inadequate in my life. I feel selfish for even staying with her, knowing that she's clearly so dissatisfied with me. What makes it worse is that her ex had cheated on her and left her, yet she still would have stayed with him if he had given her the chance. I feel like nothing in comparison to his memory. For the past 3 days, I haven't been able to bring myself to be intimate with her. The thought of trying to please her now makes me feel sick. I had planned to propose, but now I don't know if I can. Update 7 days later. After a full week of avoiding intimacy, rejecting her advances without explanation, and keeping my distance, she finally broke down, near tears. She asked me what was wrong and why I suddenly didn't want her anymore. I wasn't ready to talk about it, so I just said I hadn't been in the mood. She didn't believe me. She asked what she had done wrong and kept pushing until I finally told her I needed some space. She refused to accept that answer and demanded to know why. That's when I caved. I showed her the post I had written about the situation, then walked out of the bedroom to give her time to read it. A few minutes later, she came out, sobbing, and tried to hold on to me. I pushed her away, and she started crying even harder. Once she calmed down enough to speak clearly, she tried to explain. She claimed that she had assumed I was asleep, and that everything she said had been exaggerated. She insisted that she enjoyed being with me and tried to downplay her earlier words, saying she didn't have to fake it very much with me. Then, she added that she had faked it with her ex sometimes too, as if that would make me feel any better. As for the size comment, she backtracked completely. She now claimed that her ex wasn't as large as she had said, and that he was only 1.5 inches longer than me. She insisted that what she had said about her ex's size was exaggerated, and that there was no way she could have been with someone as big as she had claimed. She even offered to prove it. I told her I didn't believe her because, at this point, I had no reason to trust anything she said about that subject. She fell silent. I then told her how deeply it hurt to hear her compare me so unfavorably to her ex in front of her friends. She stayed quiet, tears streaming down her face. I expressed how painful it was knowing that she never even attempted to help me improve, how I now felt unloved and disrespected, and how I was no longer sure if I wanted to propose to her. Through her sobs, She apologized once again. She admitted that being drunk was an excuse and that nothing could undo the pain she had caused me. She acknowledged that I couldn't simply erase what I had overheard, but pleaded with me to trust her. I agreed to listen. She repeated that she didn't fake it with me often, and that her ex wasn't actually that much bigger than me. She claimed she had only lied about his size to impress one of her friends. She then admitted that she had been too afraid of hurting my feelings to ever bring up any issues with our sex life. I asked why she had been so focused on the quality of sex with her ex, but never gave me the same consideration. She insisted that she had never critiqued him either, that he hadn't even known what he was doing, but somehow managed to press the right buttons for her to have intense orgasms. She said she never guided him, never knew what exactly he did, and had never even been able to recreate the same sensations when touching herself. She suggested that if I were open to experimenting, we could explore new things together and figure out as a couple. My final question to her was whether she missed her ex. She admitted that while the sex had been better with him, she found it far more meaningful and enjoyable with me because she felt a deeper emotional connection. I then asked why she had been so willing to take him back, despite everything. She explained that she had been young, naive, and scared of being alone, which led her to give herself to people who never truly valued her. But with me, she had found someone who not only cherished her, but actually cared about her emotions. At that moment, I was still incredibly hurt. Talking about everything helped, but I knew it would take time for me to trust her again. I told her I needed space to process everything, but despite the pain, I still loved her and wanted to try to work through it. Update, 15 days later. For the past 2 weeks, I've done a lot of thinking. Surprisingly, my relationship hasn't worsened. If anything, it's improved. She's been more communicative about her needs, openly telling me when she feels like she won't finish. She constantly reassures me that I'm the best partner she's ever had, and I can see that she genuinely loves me, but something still feels off. Everything should be perfect, but it all feels hollow. I never used to notice other women, but now I do. I see attractive women and feel the urge to flirt, something that never crossed my mind before. Even though I know it would hurt my girlfriend, the thoughts won't go away. It's gotten to the point where, even though I know I shouldn't, I started using dating apps. To my surprise, I've been quite successful, having engaging conversations with amazing women. I even met up with one of them twice and had a great time. One night, we went out, and I felt more alive than I had in weeks. The date was more enjoyable than any moment I'd shared with my girlfriend recently. Guilt started creeping in, and 3 nights ago, I decided to come clean. She was devastated. Through her tears, she asked if I had slept with the other woman. I told her no. Then she asked if I had feelings for her. I lied. I told her it was just a casual date, but the truth was I did care about the other woman. I wanted to see her again, even if it never turned physical. Despite her pain, my girlfriend said she was willing to forgive me, but she thought we needed couples counseling. I agreed, though deep down, I was already convinced it was pointless. 2 nights ago, I finally made my decision. I didn't want to continue this relationship. When I broke the news, she completely broke down. She screamed, cried, and yelled about how all men were the same. She accused me of wasting 5 years of her life. In her rage, she blamed the other woman, calling her a homewrecker and threatening to confront her. I reassured her that the other woman wasn't responsible. This was entirely my decision. I'm now in the process of finding my own place. In a few weeks, I'll be moving out, leaving this chapter behind. And honestly, I feel incredible. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm about to start a new and exciting chapter in my life.